Professionals. This is Claudia here. It's Euroblast in Cologne in Germany, and Monuments is playing that festival. And we're so happy to be with you. Thank you for taking time.
You too as well. Thank
you.
Yeah.
So you started out yesterday.
Yeah.
And there's a tour which is really cool.
And really long.
Oh, and really long.
Yeah.
And with good colleagues of yours, I guess.
Yes, yeah, exactly. All of Monuments. We've not been in a room together for 2 years.
Oh.
Not all together anyway. Obviously Chris lives in New York, and then our drummer lives in Dublin. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of us in the UK spread out. So we only get to see each other when we go on tour. So for the last 2 years we've not been on tour, so we haven't been together in a room.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's great to be with everyone again. Yeah.
So you have to practice at home, and then you get some time for practicing together.
We had the longest rehearsal we've ever had. We had a week solid.
Wow.
10 hours a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
good.
a lot.
It was a lot of practice, but it sounds great.
And you also had a bit of fun?
Yeah, of course. Okay. Yeah. I mean, if we didn't enjoy doing this, we wouldn't be doing it. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
So when you were writing the album that's just released, how do you go about the sounds? How do you decide on what you want to hear, what you want to have?
Normally, it's subliminal seeds are planted during the course of before it happens. So for example, Chris came to us and I want to write something that sounds kind of a bit like Iowa by Slipknot.
Ah, okay.
So if you listen to Hollow King, it's kind of in that direction of that. And we're not really actively thinking we want it to sound like this, or this. We're just in the moment, does this sound good? And that's kind of how we always have written music.
Right.
We don't see an end goal until it's sort of over halfway there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this album just came together. It took a very long time, but I mean, I think the end result turned out pretty great, personally. And we'll see what people think, I guess.
I think they will think greatly of it.
Hopefully, we'll see. I mean, a lot of people, I think, will maybe prefer the Amanuensis just because it's different. But I'm really happy with how this album turned out. I think it sounds great. I think everyone did a great job.
And when you decide on the single sounds in a song, how do you go about that?
It's normally spur of the moment stuff, a lot of it. Obviously we have our main rhythm guitar sound, we have a bass sound that we like. Drummer wants his snare drum to sound like that. Chris obviously has some different voices that he wants to use, there's quite a few different things he uses on the album, everything from screamed and singing. There's some scat stuff on there as well. And then more rhythmic stuff like in Mirror Image, where it's not necessarily words, it's just notes with pronunciation. So it kind of all pieces together over time, and sometimes we'll think, oh, that's not quite good enough, can we try this? And someone will bring an idea. So when it comes to sounds, nothing's final until it's on the final record. It's kind of just an idea until that point.
So you keep on working on that and trying out things and effects.
I think the worst part is knowing when to leave it alone.
Oh.
Because you never really finish a song, do you? You abandon it.
No.
Do you know what I mean? A painting, you could spend your entire life on one painting if you really wanted to. But then have you fiddled with it too much and it's lost the essence of what it really was? So it's kind of hard to find the balance of overworking something or is it really finished?
So do you have one version and then you just lay it aside and then you see what your brain does with that after some time?
Sometimes, actually. Sometimes we'll do that. So we make variations of different parts and see which one might work. For example, the song I, the Creator on the Amanuensis took me 2 years to finish, and it went through 100 different revisions.
Wow.
So sometimes it just depends. For example, Vanta on the new record, I wrote it in 1 day. Did that whole song in 1 day, and then I Creator took 2 years. So it's really dependent on mindset and situation and what's come out. So it's all different.
And when you're leaving something on the side, then is it the case that it pops up sometime unexpectedly and you're like, oh, we put this there?
Sometimes, yeah. So if it's not songs per se and just individual parts, I try and so I work in a thing called a DAW. It's like a recording program on a computer, and you can color all the different sections. So basically, I'll color something in green if I think that's really good. I want to use that somewhere. Yellow if I think this needs some work, but it's kind of cool. And then red if I think this idea is complete trash. But then also a good way to think about that is just because you think it's trash in that moment doesn't necessarily mean it might not be useful later on. Yeah. So I never delete anything either. Yeah.
Thanks.
So, so the Gnosis project was 17 hours long for 45 minutes of music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the selection's pretty hard, or
sometimes. Yeah, I mean, obviously certain things can't work with other things, but maybe it'll spark an idea if you listen to it, you know. So yeah, it's a cool way to write, in my opinion. Yeah.
And when you have like an idea, how do you store it, and how do you find it again?
I will record everything down in my music program. So I use a thing called Steinway Cubase,
cool.
and that's how I'll go through the sections and work it all out. Yeah. So I am really bad at tabbing things out. I don't write down what I've done. I just record it, and then I have to rework it out later if it's like from like 6 months earlier or something. But I find that that's the best way to represent what I'm trying to do in that moment. So yeah.
And how do you name it then? Because sometimes it's the problem of bands, like do you have 1,000 ideas and you don't know where they are?
Yeah, there is, but that's why I record everything in one project when I'm writing, so it's all in one. So with Gnosis it was 17 hours long. Amanuensis I think was 9. Yeah, and then the new one was a lot less, but yeah.
And the computer won't crash.
Sometimes it does, and that's a very bad day.
Yes.
But normally what I'll do is I'll save the same file name, but like 01, 02, so yeah. Final, and the file name will end up being like a mile long, but yeah, generally it's all in the same project, so I don't lose anything.
And at the moment, concerning the gear, like when you're traveling, when you're on tour, then there's pretty much stuff around, and you have to kind of reduce weight and stuff that's been carried around. So how are you deciding on that?
Okay, so with this tour, because obviously we travelled in a bus from the UK,
right?
We have brought too much gear. So we have 8 guitar cabs, 2 bass cabs, a drum kit, a 9x6 meter backdrop, an in-ear monitor rack. So we're all on ears now for our monitoring. So yeah, and that's all going to be on stage, and it's going to look great today. You know what I mean? I'm really stoked about it. So yeah, but when it comes to traveling, it's like you have to take the essentials. So we need something to play guitar through, something to play bass through, guitars and basses, and then the drummer will bring snare drum and kick drums and cymbals, and then everything else will just be hired in. Hopefully from the companies that we're endorsed by. Hopefully.
And for the live show, to have like your sound you want, there's some bands who do the famous tap dance, you know, on your fretboard. And so how do you try to figure out what's doable on stage? Basically,
I used to have all of my guitar patches changed by a laptop. So we play to a click live, click track, metronome. And it used to be switched by the laptop. And now, for this tour, I couldn't be bothered to do it because it takes too long. So now I'm having to tap dance on stage.
Okay.
So now I have to find a way to tap dance and play the parts and not mess up, you know? But eventually I'll reprogram the laptop, and then I literally press play and I've got no worries. I just have to play. It's way easier that way,
And now you're traveling with your friends Bola in Cardenio.
And also Atlas as well.
So have you seen the guys before?
Yes, Cardenio. Never seen Bola. We met them today. They're very, very lovely. Cardenio I've seen play once or twice, and Atlas again I haven't seen play, but it should be a good tour. It's going to be loads of fun. Everyone's in the same situation, you know what I mean? Everyone's on tour just trying to have fun, and hopefully we can all become good friends after this. Because believe it or not, spending 30 days in a bus, 24 hours a day with someone, you get to know them quite well. You know what I mean? So
I have a sort of personal question, because I was talking to some people already about this. What is an artist? Who decides, who defines?
It's not, it's all dependent on opinion, isn't it? It's just an opinion, because like, you know, an artist can draw, an artist can write music, but then is an artist someone that, like an architect, technically they're also an artist, aren't they? Someone that builds buildings, they're also an artist of that. So I think that artist is like, it's not a really good way to explain something, is it? It's quite funny actually, because there's this film called Waking Life.
Yes.
And
it's really good.
It's really good.
I know that film.
There's this one part where it goes on about how words are inert.
Yeah.
And when it comes to like separating, words that we can understand, like the word water, everyone can understand that. But when with certain things like the word love,
Yeah.
you can't explain and think that someone's going to understand what you're going to say, because emotion is so individual. And I think it's the same with the word artist as well, because it is all down to opinion. Some people think that Van Gogh is terrible. Some people think that Picasso is terrible. Some people think that Bach's terrible. It's all opinion.
Yeah.
It's not fact. So what is an artist? No one knows.
No, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, no one really knows, do they? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, and the use of the term, like it says artist on the backstage pass.
Yeah.
And then again, if I'm asking, like, are you an artist? And people sometimes are shy or say, I can't say that, it sounds posh.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it sounds posh. I think it's just, it's such a broad term. It doesn't really explain anything, does it? Because an artist can be anything that is good at their particular field. You know what I mean? Like someone that does, like, I just play guitar. I write my own music. Does that really quantify me as being an artist? Not really. It doesn't, does it? I'm just a guy that got lucky playing music that other people like. I think that's probably the best way to explain it.
So, do you also think that what you are doing with your music and people relating from the crowd, and they share certain feelings with that music, like, is that also part of arts?
I think to a degree, yeah, but I also think it goes back to that Waking Life scene. It's like music is a form of language, and you're speaking to people, and when people enjoy that, it means that they've understood you. It's the same thing, isn't it, in a way? So maybe I'm not an artist, maybe just these people have understood what I'm trying to say. Which is beautiful in a way, isn't it?
Yes.
It is actually beautiful, yeah. So I've basically spoken through people with music, not using any words, no emotion connected to it. It's literally, they can make their interpretation of what we've done. And that is amazing, the fact that they want to be there and understand it and, cry to it, they want to laugh to it, it's amazing. It's a really good feeling.
So thank you very much for the interview and for your music.
Thank you.
And enjoy the tour.
Thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you. Bye-bye.